Hi there, this is Vinay from Gamers Nation. If you don't know about Gamers Nation, I'll put the link in the description. Today we'll be doing a POV video where we'll assemble a PC and get it ready to install the Windows. There will be two parts. Part 1 where we will use CPU, motherboard, NVMe, SSD and RAM. And second part where we'll put that motherboard inside a case, do a little wire management, get it done. And if you bought your parts from some retail shop, Facebook group or a website and you're not sure how to get it done, get it working, this video should help you out. The processor we are using is AMD Ryzen 7 3700X. We get a CPU cooling fan and the processor. We won't be needing this as we are using a 240 liquid cooler, that is all-in-one MSI. We are using MSI B550 MORTAR Wi-Fi. It's a good motherboard which gives you an option of Wi-Fi in a pretty straight budget. You get these things inside the board. These are some SATA cables. These are your Wi-Fi antennas. This is MSI emblem that you can stick on a CPU or something. These are just instructions. We won't be needing anything of this right now. This motherboard comes with the inbuilt IO bracket. You can see it right here. Another thing we'll be using is GSKILL RIPJAWS 16 GB into 2 and NVMe SSD, which is ADATA XPG Gamix S5. Capacity is 256 GB. This is just normal screwdriver. If you are building along while watching the video, you should also get it. It's just a normal Phillips plus screwdriver. You just hold this right this. Okay. Now you need to notice this small triangle in the corner. Just hold this right like this. Open this hook, which will open the socket. Then use this triangle as a guide and place it just there. You can give it a little wiggle so it will fit. Okay. Now close this and your processor is in place. Now try to pack everything after you put things inside a motherboard or start assembling, because you don't want to clean the mess after everything is done and your workspace is tidy when you're doing it. Handle your motherboard with care. You can use the motherboard box as a platform. You can just keep it right there. Now we'll be going with the RAMs. These are RIPJAWS ones. These are non-RGB. Actually, the client didn't want RGB RAMs, so we had to go with this, but these are pretty fine too. We just opened it. Now we'll just use the A2 and B2 slots. You want to open these locks, push it firmly, both sides. Done. Opened it. There's a little pretty sticker from GSKILL. I don't know how many guys use this, but you can if you want to show it off. We got another module out. Same thing we did with the first module. Hold it like this. Match these with these from the slots. Okay, both locks are open. You push firmly and the RAM is in. Now for putting the NVMe SSD, you need to check like how many slots are there on your motherboard. See, if your motherboard has this section, this is generally the heat spreader. Okay, you need to open this thing, then you can put your NVMe inside and then close it. But this works with the SSDs which don't have a heat spreader with them. Like the SSD we are using, XPG 256 Gamix S5, it comes with a heat spreader on it, so we won't be able to fit it here. Okay, it doesn't matter where you put your SSD, either in first slot or second slot, anything should be good. So we'll just open this thing. You can see this is the heat spreader I'm talking about. Okay, so we won't be going with this slot because we already have heat spreader on it. Okay, so when you push it like this should be able to reach the third screw like this. I won't be using technical terms like what is the form factor of the SSD, just to keep the process simple. Now you see is leveraging against the slot, so we can just open the motherboard box. You should have NVMe SSD screws there somewhere. Okay, yep, got it. Get the motherboard on again. These are the screws I am talking about. You can just open this thing like this. We just need a single screw right now. I'm just using a single screwdriver. I know most of guys won't have tools to build PCs in their homes. I am constantly building PCs, so I have many tools, but for the video we'll be just using this thing. It should be enough for you. See, CPU is installed, RAMs are installed, NVMe is installed. The basic first part of your PC build is over. So let's get started with the second part. We are back with the case. The case we are using is DEEPCOOL MATTREXX 554F. It's a 4 fan ARGB edition. So you get 4 ARGB fans included in the case. I'll just open the glass and you can have a look. Always keep the glass somewhere far from your workplace. It's delicate, it can break. This is the back side. We get 4 fans. I won't be using any power tools. Keep all your screws aside and don't lose them, because every specific case has a specific set of panel screws. If you lose your glass panel screws, or if you lose any other screws from like a specific case, you won't be able to get it. You get all the wired stuff here. Basically you just have to untangle it before starting your work. So these are the pre-connected fans. Okay, this is your front panel. Front panel and USB 3, and yeah, just that's it. At the bottom you get your hard drive bay. Generally all the screws etc coming from the case will be here only. Okay, so we get a little polythene here which will have all the important stuff. Try to remove every bit of wire that is like tangled or grouped or anything, so it will help you further down the line while assembling. It's gonna be a long video. I don't want to keep it that long, but let's see how fast we can do this. I'll skip the micromanagement part, because every case has a different wire management thing going on, different clearances. So we'll just keep it simple. First you group your wires depending on where they come from, etc. So they are not entangled in between, and when you pull a single wire it should not bring along the other friends. Anything that is bind together or clip together, you should remove that. It will help you wire manage better. If you don't want to do a wire management, you can just plug stuff up and it will be ready to start, but it won't be that tidy or it won't be that good looking. If you just want the stuff to work, you don't care about the aesthetics, you can just skip over to the next part. This is a RGB splitter. It comes by default because it has 4 fans, so we'll need these later. I will just keep this aside. Now we just separated everything. Every fan has 2 connectors. These 2 connectors, these are the ARGB connectors. The good thing about the DEEPCOOL fans are that they generally daisy chain it, so you can connect the next ARGB connector to it. So I'll just connect it. So we got all the 3 fans connected basically. Anyways, I connected it. These are the fan connectors, we'll keep separate. So whenever we need, to plug them up or use a fan connector, I'll use that. 3 fans in the front, 1 fan in the back. Okay, this is the standard configuration. Apart from that, we'll be using 240mm AIO, which will be on the top. So 2 fans will be connected from there only. So apart from this, everything else is connected. This is just your front panel and SATA controller and stuff. So yeah, we got the ARGB sorted out. Okay, I'll just use this for grouping them. I'm not permanently binding them. I'm just using it as a temporary solution to keep these wires aside and don't distract us. Okay, now the fan connectors. Okay, I'll do the same with the fan connectors. You can add zip ties later once you have done all the other wire management stuff. For time being, I'll just keep this aside. Now, what we have a USB 3.0. This is a USB 2.0. This is your front audio cable. Basically, generally there is HD audio written on it. So you can also check it by there is generally a blank hole in between. Like in USB, this hole is on the right side, and in HD audio, it's generally in the middle. These are your front panel power switch connectors. Now let's take the motherboard and check what is the layout of the motherboard basically, so we can decide how to connect it. We can see here USB 3 is here on the side. Okay, so we'll have to route the USB 3.0 cable from here or somewhere here. Apart from this, we'll put the CPU cable from here and motherboard cable like 24ATX from here. I'll just keep the motherboard aside for now. I'll just move the case now. Okay, so this is how it looks. The form factor we are using is micro ATX. You have to check whether all the standoffs are installed for a micro ATX motherboard. See, we have 4 standoffs missing for this motherboard to fit in that. So basically I'll just keep this aside. You take a hold of the bag you got alongside the cabinet or a box, whatever is it, and take out just the standoffs from them. Hold your motherboard and use it, so you can just plug it in at a 15 or 20 degree angle and you can see if the holes match. You can see all the holes match. Okay, so we are ready to go. Now you will just hold your motherboard like this, use your screwdriver, put the middle screw first, that way you will secure it. Don't over tight the thing, just use it with a little force that you know. I'll just add rest of the screws. Get a magnetized screwdriver if you can, it helps a bit and it will make your life easier holding the screws on the motherboard, sockets and everything. Okay, so I guess we have added all the screws here. Just put it here. Okay, so first step is complete. You added your motherboard inside of your case. Now comes the part where we add the power supply and route the cables so it can power the PC. See, this is where your power supply usually fits for all the standard cases. If your case is Lee and Lee or something different or something high end, the position of the power supply might be different. So I'll just unbox this. This is your power supply. Comes in a bag. I'm just keeping it aside. We don't need a power cable for now. We'll need some power supply cables, some cable ties and screws. Take a moment and just think what all things you will be connected in this PC. Depending on that, we will have to use the cables. As it's modular, we don't want to fill every port. Okay, just for the sake of clean build, and it will be easier for us to wire manage it. This is a CPU cable, we'll need it. This is a graphic card cable, PCI, we'll need it too. This is a cable for your motherboard. This cable is for your hard disk. Okay, so apart from this, we won't be needing anything else. We'll just start putting the power supply in this thing. Remember, we kept aside the cables first, which we'll be needing. So we'll just put that thing. First we'll plug in the motherboard cable. This is how it will look. You put it here, plug it in. There is a motherboard written over. You can put the second part in that too. Your motherboard cable is in place. Another thing we will have to put is the CPU cable. Just the same thing as we did with the motherboard. So where it is, I'll just put it here inside the CPU socket. Now comes the part for graphic card power cable. Usually there is PCIe written on it. I didn't notice if it has. No, they didn't write anything, but it's a PCIe cable. We put it in the VGA bracket. Now we'll put the SATA and Molex power thing inside here. Now your cables are in place. You just have to do your part, like put this here, align it, look out for the cable so they don't tangle. Use the screws provided with the power supply. Match the holes. This should be pretty easy. Once you put a single screw, after that it will be easy for you to match another holes. Just do that first. You won't have to align it after, like, every now and then. Okay, I just added the first screw. Try to do in a cross pattern so it's secured in 2 screws only. You may require to use an extra little force as these screws are bigger from the motherboard ones we used before. Now we added the power supply screws here and it's secured. Now as per the layout, we will just route the cables. Okay, so this is a motherboard cable. CPU will go here. This GPU cable, we'll need it later, but I'll just keep it here. It won't come in between our other things. Okay. You won't need to put these cables somewhere because these all are gonna go in the back. Now take out that USB 3.0, your HD audio. Generally HD audio goes from here to here. So to wire manage it, I will just route it from behind these cables. I'll put it here. It's a USB. USB ports are generally in the bottom of the motherboard. So I'll add that here. You can wire manage it, like there's some extra length that we won't be needing. So you can just route it like this. I won't do the wire management right now because I want to keep the process as simple as possible. Once you're fine, once you're comfortable building a PC, you can do the wire management thing. We'll plug the motherboard one. Try to have as small bulk as possible there. Then we'll put the CPU one. GPU we won't be needing right now. We'll put the USB one. Generally there is a port with USB written on it. You can just plug these cables there. This is a front audio, HD audio, as I told you before. We added that. Now USB 3. we got this cooler. It's a MSI Core Liquid 240R. Pretty decent cooler for a 3700X. It should keep your temperature in check. I'll just open this thing. This is what you get inside the box. These are two fans. This is your radiator. This is your CPU block. Generally, other AIOs have pump inside the CPU block, but MSI one has inside the radiator. Open the take out the radiator stuff. This is the radiator. It's a 240 mm. See, this is the CPU pump I was talking about. Like, this is the water pump. It's usually in here in most of the coolers, but they have placed it here. This is the packet you get with all the essential stuff. Basically, it will contain your brackets, your screws, your mounting screws, a small syringe of a thermal paste. This is the thermal paste we will be using. It is Astra Kavach thermal grease. It is one of the best thermal paste out there. So before doing all the thermal paste and stuff, we'll have to mount our fans on our radiator. Just hold your radiator like this or this and try to get a picture on how it will look and where the wire should go. So you'll just remove this wire, and I'll route this pump cable through here. It generally has two slots where you can put your wire in. So this is how it can go. Okay, I'm trying to put all the cables on the back side, so there are very few cables that are visible to us. So put your radiator like this. This is a marker that this side all our cables should go. Take your fan, put it like this. Another fan like this. Okay, now take out the fan mounting screws. These are generally the bigger ones, the long ones. Put all the screws, the holes, try to go cross. So once you tie two of them, you will automatically find the hole for third and fourth one, because the fan is already aligned with the radiator holes. So we tighten the screws. Now we'll add the rest. Okay, so we have attached your fans to the radiator. Now we'll untangle all the stuff here. Try to put your fans in a exhaust when you're putting it in on the top, or if you're putting in front, you can put them in intake. Now just hold your, and you have to tight this thing like this. So we added the radiator, completed with all the 8 screws. It's tight and secure. Now we'll be putting this little dragon on our CPU edges, and it should be good to go. So I have removed all the given brackets from the box, and this is an AMD build. So basically we will need this bracket, and it will go like this on this. Okay, so just like this you can add it. Don't worry about the orientation of this logo as it can be rotated. Then you will need these two things. This will go here and you can tighten it from here. Okay, we'll just add this little screw. I dropped it, sorry. You can just add this little screw here. Okay, and another one from here. This will fit like this. You can take a guess how this is gonna look. Okay, but we won't be fitting it right away. We have to remove this plastic. Put aside. Use a thermal paste. Put 5 drops. Either you can just put the block over it or you can spread it using a spatula. We have covered the whole IHS with it. It's pretty much good to go. Now take your CPU block, put it here. There's a small hook where you can add it, and small hook on the bottom. Done. Now I will just straight out this little dragon. There's a cable for your RGB. We'll take it out and route it on the back side. You can either do it from here, so there are less cables visible. SATA SSD, it is Kingston 240 GB 2.5. I'll just open it. We can just put it in a hard drive bracket. Every case will have a different set of instructions for putting your SSDs and stuff, because every case has a different set of drive bays with a different technique to install SSDs. But for now we just have this one, so I'll just show you how you can add a 2.5 SSD in this. There are grooves for putting your screws. You will just put basic motherboard screws for this. Apart from this, you won't need anything. Try to understand the orientation of the disk, like where the cables will connect to it, etc., etc. This way you will be able to fix the SSD and connect power cable and SATA cable to it. we got a SSD added, so we'll just put it in the slot like this. Just slide it in and it's there. Now the part where the HDD comes, we'll just open a WD Blue 7200 RPM. This is how it looks. Try to not drop your hard disk, because once it hits the once it gets any type of shrug, or you can say any type of impact, it will stop working. So try to be patient with the hard disk. That's all you need to do. We'll get another set of screws from the case box. I'll just open it. Use the bigger screws for a hard disk, because the grooves for screws in a hard disk is generally bigger than that of SSD. They are not very big, but using bigger screws helps you to secure it further. Done. We'll just slide that in again. Done. We'll tighten the base screws so it will not move. Now these are the connectors, SATA power connectors we added before. We'll just connect it like this. Now the power is connected. Now we only need SSD and hard disk to be connected to the motherboard. Generally, any middle segment motherboard gives you 2 SATA cables, so which is enough for your any basic config. You will just connect one end here, it has a lock and it will be connected directly, and put another end in the cabinet so it can be connected to the motherboard. We'll put another cable out. Usually some cables have this L-shaped sockets. Those are for places which you can't, it's a space saving feature basically. I'll put the second SATA port in front. I'll just see both the cables are here. We connected it. You can push the excess cable behind, where we will hide it by the back panel. It's more than enough. Now let's get started with the graphic card. You can guess in the comments what graphic card will it be. We used a 750 watt power supply. With the current market scenario about the graphic cards, we are trying to give as low prices to gamers as possible, because those are the ones who are suffering. We have a Suprim X from MSI. It's a triple fan card and it's basically the flagship card from MSI. Let's open this. I'll just connect the graphic card, power, and the PC is complete. We'll just add the back panel. It should be easily doable. As I told you, this should slide very easily, so you're good to go with the wire management.